So, QUAY.jo, what does a good pre-launch timeline look like?
Start preparing 6 to 8 weeks before launch.
Wow.
So let's just say 2 months. We can't just launch and out of thin air, like expect people to show up, expect people to be ready. We're dealing with messaging around our launch, like looking at social media, looking at emails. We're starting to overcome objections that we know that people give, but we're also starting to talk about the questions that should be top of mind when somebody decides to register for like the free launch thing. It could be a challenge, could be a webinar. So objections and questions. In this episode of the Art of Online Business podcast, I'm here with my co-host Jamie, my wife.
Hello.
Hello. And you're going to learn about why you should prep your launch earlier than you think you should so that it can go better than you had hoped. There is a saying, and it goes, prior preparation prevents poor performance. And we're going to talk about the pre-launch timeline. We're going to, of course, talk about how to set up your Facebook ads in the best way before your launch to succeed. And I'm going to also link to another episode, which was a 4-way collab between me and 3 other ladies talking about how to launch like a pro, even if you don't have a huge team. Looking at your pre-launch timeline, first we got to understand a launch preparation starts way earlier than you think it should start. What we don't want and what I really don't like is when somebody messages me 2 weeks before launch, 4 weeks before their launch, can you run my ads for me? And I'm like, oh, you don't understand. Like, it can't just be turned on at the last minute.
Right. It's kind of stressful as an ads manager because we need time. So, QUAY.jo, what does a good pre-launch timeline look like? If someone messages and says, I want you to run my launch ads, but what kind of timeline would you like to see as a Facebook ads manager and
Okay.
why? What does it look like?
I mean, even if they're not running launch ads,
Mm-hmm.
in general, like start preparing 6 to 8 weeks before launch.
Wow.
So let's just say 2 months
Okay.
and you're doing it right. What does this mean though? We can't just launch and out of thin air, like expect people to show up, expect people to be ready. We're dealing with messaging around our launch, like looking at social media, looking at emails. We're starting to overcome objections that we know that people give.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, time, money. And we're talking about that people give when they come into our launch and they're presented with the opportunity to come into one of our programs. But we're also starting to talk about the questions that should be top of mind when somebody decides to register for like the free launch thing. It could be a challenge, could be a webinar. So objections and questions surrounding the thing that you're going to teach on for free and the offer that you are going to sell. That kind of prep for your audience. And if you're running ads to build your retargeting audiences, then this kind of prep will go into your ad content too. Starts 2 months out.
So don't panic if you're thinking, oh no, I was planning on launching in early January and I'm already running out of time. Or you can still get it done. You can still prepare enough to have your launch go well. So you said the actual launch ads should start about 2 weeks before the launch,
Mhm.
right? So what do those ads kind of look like?
All right, so as we turn to ads, there will be 2 episodes linked for you to listen to talking about pre-launch. Because you're like, QUAY.jo, for real? 8 weeks out? Do you even talk about anything else besides ads, bro? It's like, yes, I do. I did spend like 2 or 3 years coaching established online course creators, who were making just south or just north of $1 million in revenue. However, I did interview Brenna McGowan, who is the pre-launch maven. She knows what she's doing. Her whole business is surrounding online course creators and coaches and membership owners nail their pre-launch and make sales before they even get close to their launch. So that episode will be linked up below. And then I also did a 4-way collab called How to Launch Like a Pro even if you don't have a huge team. And in that episode, there was plenty of strategy dropped by a messaging strategist, a launch strategist, and those links are below. So if you're running ads, if you're going to do it by yourself, then here's some reasons why you want to do a pre-launch. Like, get ready way before your launch. First of all, you need to discover if you want people to come into your launch at the lowest cost per lead possible, you should find out what audiences are working the best for you. And that takes testing, and that testing should be done with your lead magnet.
Mm-hmm.
so that you can see, all right, if this audience is converting best for my lead magnet, it probably will convert best for my launch too. Same thing for ad creative, your visuals, your images, your graphics, maybe your vertical video format that slips into like Instagram stories or Facebook reels. That can all happen with your lead magnet that's running in between launches. But the key is like, why wait until the last minute, Jamie, when the stakes are really high?
Yeah, you kind of want to have test everything while the stakes are low, so to speak, while you're not spending a lot of extra money really trying to get people in, right? You want to kind of just see how things are going with your freebie and
Mm.
what messaging is working, what audiences are working well.
When you were running ads for a client's launch, Jamie, that client spent how much during their pre-launch time?
3,000?
And how many weeks were their launch ads running?
3 weeks.
That's pretty high pressure to spend through, if you're running your own ads, like $3,000 yourself in 3 weeks without knowing ahead of time what to target for audiences.
Right,
Yeah, that's a lot. So don't put that pressure on yourself, friend.
right.
Start earlier. Also, because mistakes can be made, and you want to, in general, reduce the number of mistakes that are being made. What about this? If you're going to hire somebody like us to manage your ads, like ads can't just turn on. We have to onboard, right? And that just means getting your best performing emails, like looking at your sales page, where we're going to pull your voice from to make sure the ad copy resonates with your audience, but also sounds like you. Plus, just time to test. Like, of all of our ad management tricks and tools and strategies that we can pull out of our pocket, that takes a moment to dial in your ads.
Plus getting access to your account if there's any kind of tech issues in there, doing, a kickoff call with you and just making sure that we have the right idea of what you are going for and what your voice is, what your business is, and what your audience, your ideal client is like. And so it takes a moment
Yeah.
to kind of start that working relationship and get to know each other a little bit as well and be able to best serve you.
And then as we produce the ad copy and the visuals, we never run anything without you knowing about it. So then you would also have to review. And naturally, because we are specialists at ads, but we're not specialists at doing what you have been blessed and graced to do. So
Right.
you'll probably look at images and ad copy and make a few tweaks yourself. We might get
Mhm.
it 90% of the way there, and you take it the final 10% or 5%. So it's ready to go. That back and forth takes time too. And we want to make sure that we can do all of the necessary things to set you up for a good launch in a way that doesn't stress you. Because the whole point of hiring an ad manager is you already have a profitable offer that's selling, and you want to take your energy that you might be currently spending on running your own ads, right? And let us do that so you can just rest and show up 100% focused on your launch and delivering value in whatever free way you're going to do, webinar, training, workshop, or even paid way. Some people run paid launches to
Mhm.
your audience.
I just also want to mention if you are still wanting to do it yourself, but you're like, hey, I need a little coaching, I need a little hand holding, a little help along the way. That is also something that we can help you with. All those questions along the way. Am I doing this right? And make sure that you still have it set up just the way you want it and set up to run profitably.
Question you might have listening to this episode is like, QUAY.jo, how do I test messaging for the launch to see like what is working with my audience if I'm not going to run ads for the launch until 2 weeks before? And the way to do this is, if you know the objections that your audience might have to the offer that you're going to sell, right? And if you know the kinds of questions that could be coming up, then build your video view audiences early. That means create a video, either because you posted it on Instagram or you just made a video for an ad, and run that ad as like a video views ad to your target audience. And then you will see, depending on what metric you're looking at, it could be cost per through play, or it could be, you're linking to your website or linking to your Instagram profile. Either way, you'll see a lower click-through rate or a lower cost per through play. Through play, by the way, is 15 seconds
Right.
watched by your video. It's just a term that Meta uses to categorize people who have watched 15 seconds, and that is called a through play. But you'll see a lower cost there, and the lower cost, then all other variables equal, as in you're targeting the same audience. The lower cost per through play or per link click means that messaging is resonating. So if you're trying a bunch of different questions, the problem that you solve with your core offer or with your free launch training, and you're also covering objections and overcoming those objections in different videos too, then you'll begin to see which ones are performing the best. And those are the ones in the kind of messaging that you should use in your launch registration ads once that time comes around.